I'll tell Lion we're going live. Actually, can you tell Lion we're going live? Because if I change
Yeah. Just gotta
the...
remember to do the ad read and it'll be good.
Yeah, all good. All good. I gotta unlock at this point.
I'm so jealous. That shit's. I had to sit there and
Rab
stare
says
at it
that in
as
his
I was
sleep.
No, I
reading
In
it.
his
hear you.
sleep.
I think we're live, ladies and
Rab-
gentlemen. What is good? What is good?
Yep.
Stream. When he's got no webcam, so unfortunately he gets cooked again. It is what it is. You know, I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules. But ladies and gentlemen, we are back for just a quick little show for you all, because this evening quite a lot has gone on. Obviously, I'll be doing a video tomorrow breaking down everything that has happened. And I'm sure there'll be more happening overnight as well with some latest developments. But thought, look, we'll turn the stream on. We got Ronnie on the call. We're going to talk about what's been happening this evening. OpTic won champs, and everything's gone to hell. Because I thought maybe for the World Cup we'd see a couple of changes. I saw a tweet from CDC Intel. They say we could see up to 6. Seems a bit optimistic. But we're certainly going to be seeing a good few teams change around. So, yeah, gentlemen, we'll be live for 30, 40 minutes, something like that, to talk about what's happened, what's going to continue to happen this evening, the changes these teams are making. There will be other changes after the World Cup. There's no doubt about that. Some of the big changes, if they happen, they are probably going to be to some degree dependent on what happens at the World Cup, but also they won't happen until that point because they're simply too big a moves to get done in a 24-hour window. So yeah, welcome to all 150 of you already in here today. Thanks to PrizePicks supporting the show, Zeb. If you guys want to get involved for the World Cup or any other sports that are currently ongoing, have a look at the link in the description box below. Download the app. Use code Breaking Point. Claim $50 on your first $5 pick. You know the vibe, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, gents. What's good? I've got Easy Mac here. I've got Ronnie here. Ronnie, how was your experience enjoying the World Championship from sunny Manchester?
Well, it was a good time, you know. The crowd was interesting, but apart from that, I mean, I thought it was one of the best champs in a long time. And to have that winner when there's about 7 OpTic fans in one room was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, especially when it was unexpected as well. I mean, when they beat FaZe, we were like, oh shit, here we go, kind of thing. So yeah, it was a good time.
It was funny. I actually had OpTic and FaZe in the grand finals. I just had it reversed. Like I had OpTic losing
Damn.
round 1 and then making the run. I didn't think they were gonna make it through winners bracket like the way they did, but ended up being pretty good. To set a viewership record at that kind of event when everyone was kind of really down going into it, I thought was kind of special. I thought if we get a good format and schedule next year, it just shows like the potential of the league. And yeah, I saw that number, and a lot of people don't know this, but we actually got really close to that number on Saturday. I think it was like we were at like 280-ish, and that was like the max of last year's champs, I believe. So we were cooking on Saturday, and I like knew Sunday was going to be a really, really good one once we got OpTic in Vancouver there.
Okay, let's crack on. Ronnie Intel, he's done a tweet earlier today, 4:17 p.m. Gentlemates, they're running it back, baby. They are running it back. I don't really... Okay, so let's just talk about this one real quick. Gentlemates all year, bit of a shambles. Dareal, Marky B... The team was in chaos. There was all sorts of drama going down behind the scenes of that org. Gataga, and then what's the name of his boy? Squeezy or something? Am I right about that?
Not sure, but it's definitely a weird name, so we'll go with that.
Something like that. Maybe he was calling the shots. Maybe he wasn't. Does he know anything about COD? Maybe not. This guy, by the way, is challenging Scrap, is he not? Look at that neck. Look at the neck on this boy. Oh my god. Wait, this guy's actually going neck for neck. That is insane. Anyway, so maybe that's the key to success. So basically, they're blowing it up. Dareal's out of the end of the season. Marky B's out of the end of the season. I don't think either of them are even going to the World Cup. I don't think Dareal is, even though he's still technically on the team. I don't think they're sending them. But what confuses me a bit is that LAG, I thought they were dead and buried. I thought Los Angeles Guerrillas as an organization were cooked, but now all of a sudden Gentlemates, presumably they're going to be purely Gentlemates next year. They're bringing it back. VOs is back in. So yeah, what's going on here, Ronnie?
Well, Vios has been close for a while. Like he's going to become a head of quad operations. So basically, he's going to be like the gap between the owners and players and staff, which there was a big issue with this year.
Yeah. Okay.
It
You,
just
you
didn't
had a
work.
report earlier this year about that, correct?
Yeah, things did not work for either side as well.
Okay, so then they decide we have to make a move. So how do they get
Yeah.
from D-Real and Marky B to where they are today now?
I feel like Vios speaking French helps a lot.
Mm.
Like that's an easy solution, right? Obviously, he had a good time with LAG, so you could see why. And I mean, I know it's not the same org, but it seems like that could have played a part as well. And then the rest of it is, well, Mayhem's not obviously settled yet because he's still coaching Ravens. But come next season, that seems an opportunity that could happen. They're basically getting the band back together from LAG,
Bring back
if
Flamesy.
we're honest.
Or just Flames.
Yeah, get Flames, get Diamond Con, get Estriel. Why not? I mean, they qualified for champs, which is better than what this current team did.
Yeah, they got top 3 at the final major, somehow pulled it out of their
Exactly.
ass. So,
So, but on paper, I think the move makes sense.
And for those who don't know,
Especially with the French stuff.
Vinos is the head coach of Team War right now. Team
Yep.
War is the challengers team that just qualified for EWC. He was the LAG coach. What was it in MW3?
yeah.
That was the Diamond Con, Assault, Roster, Estriel, and Flames. And so he has good connections with all those players. Notably, Linz is actually on Team War right now. Have you heard anything about Linz being connected to this team at all, or is it still
I think-
kind of too fresh?
I think for EWC, I think they're running it back with the current team.
Gotcha. Okay.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're going to stick together. The actual new coaches can see what's going on, and then reassess for the off season. That's my understanding anyway.
Get to that in a second. That makes some sense. Yeah, I did have the Linz one here, because Linz did a tweet today as well. He says, my contract with Gentlemates is officially over. I wanted to thank the fans and the staff despite a tough year for trusting me. It was my dream to play for the team, and I fell short, but I only grew from the year. Good luck to all. Wish you nothing but the best. So, a little bit intrigued by the situation there, because I was wondering whether Gentlemates for champs or for the World Cup, they would just be like,
Bring
all
Linz
right,
back.
Linz,
Yeah.
come back. We'll bring in Cobra, and we'll just try. It's a
I
World
would've done
Cup,
that.
you know. Like let's,
Yep.
you know what I mean. We'll do a French team. How bad can it be? Heretics just had a killer year, you know. Like there's
Sign
maybe,
those 2-week contracts.
yeah, maybe there was.
you get-
Prezi.
I don't know. I know that
Like-
the French fans of Genomates will support the team anyway, but I was kind of expecting them to lean into it a bit more, especially after such a shit season. It's like, well, you might as well at that point.
Well, that was my thinking. Because they had a horrible season, it was almost like a, here you go, enjoy this kind of thing. Let's have a French team to root for to end the season. But it seems not. Especially when you can get 3 decent players.
You
Maybe
can
not
get 2 of them
proven,
really
but-
easily.
Exactly, yeah.
And you have that. I know they went by something else at the end, but they had the Jump Shot France team that had Squizzy and a couple. Like they had a couple good prospects, Melko,
So you could just took
Nadox.
one of them.
Yeah, and so you could have just wrote it out with an all French team for EWC.
Because chances are they're going to lose anyway. So why
Yeah.
not lose with something you can be proud of?
I mean, there could be a Boston team from last year. They got like, what did they get? Top 8, top 6?
Yeah.
Oh, you never really know, but it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
So now with LAG looking like they're going to be looking towards a reset at the end of EWC, Cobra being released or his contract running out with LAG. The other big news was obviously the Carolina and New York turnover that was starting to spark up. So we had Capsule getting released
We
early
did.
on in the day. What did you hear about that, Ronnie? Was there any inkling that was coming?
I heard a rumor a day and a half ago, or a day ago, that he was going to be dropped. But honestly, there was so much going on, it kind of just flew under the radar. And then the tweet come out that he was dropped, and I was like, oh, okay. So, yeah. It's like, then I hear the Gwyn stuff, and I'm like, well, that makes sense. Like, I actually really like the team. I don't know about you guys, but I think that's a really nice team. On paper.
Yeah, so Capsador's out of there. I'm truly grateful for the love and support that was shown while I was here. Wishing nothing but the best of the boys. We unfortunately couldn't get the job done. Excited for the future. So there was this rumour going around that Champs was over and the teams had precisely 1 day to make the changes. And in that 1 day, they could make one change. we're already on the second day and we've still got shit going down. So I'm thankful for that. Sounds great as far as I'm concerned. But
Absolutely.
it doesn't really seem like there's many rules in this period. You just do what the hell you want.
Yeah, that was the one thing that came out. I don't know any of the rules for EWC, but a lot of people were saying you had like 1 or 2 days after champs, you could only make 1 change per team. But now it kind of seems like that isn't the case. So that's why I was.
Oh,
like,
we
really
literally
confused
just had
going
a
into
tweet
today.
about this from CDC
Yeah,
Intel. He says, apparently the 1 change rule is only applicable if the team has players under contract. If the players' contracts are up, then the team is seemingly allowed to make more than 1 change.
Which makes sense.
To be fair, does make some sense. So I guess in the case of, let's say, Cloud9, it appears that they have their players under lock and key because this is what they do at Cloud9. It's, it's contract jail. Mercury's managed to avoid it. So it is what it is. So presumably, therefore, they could only make 1 change. If Cloud9 could have made more than 1 change, and I think in due course they will, but maybe they would have done, right? Like I'm looking at the cap. I don't know. I don't mind the cap store for Gwyn thing. I think it's perfectly acceptable. But maybe the team felt a little bit broken, right? Like a 1-man move isn't probably going to totally move the needle, but...
I think the fact they never played the Toronto event says a change was coming.
Yeah.
So yeah, that said it all. But
Yeah, I thought them and Vegas not playing it.
Yeah, it says a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Falcons didn't play it either, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah,
so then we get into the... You reported that Cobra was being targeted by Royal Ravens. And in that, I've actually watched a lot of Cobra this year. I think he is the best French prospect currently. I've always been kind of confused that Gentleman's has never even targeted him once. So then he gets interested from Carolina, but he's been playing as a SMG this year, actually. Before he was more of a flex AR player. So now it was kind of confusing seeing him being linked there, but now that kind of makes more sense, right? With now Gwyn being linked to be moving to New York in place of Capsule.
Yeah, I mean, with when I said like the Rex for Cobra stuff, I was like, maybe Gwyn to flex, right? That's been tested a few times by the team. Never actually happened in matches, but it all makes a bit more sense now with Gwyn leaving. Now Cobra in for Gwyn, they're looking for someone else for Rex. That seems to be the way they're going. I think they're targeting EU players with Cobra. So it's looking multiple changes for Ravens, with Rex, Gwyn, and maybe Tej out.
And so you have some news about who they're targeting, correct?
Afro.
All right, here we go. Let me bring up the article real quick.
Okay. Revolution.
Yeah, it mentions it here. Okay, it's a brand new article coming out of Ronnie. Literally just dropped this seconds. Can you believe it? We've got a little live roster leak drop on the timeline. You got to hit the like button for this. Like, nobody does it like us. Okay, let me read through the article to give you guys the breakdown. So this is the, let's say, Ravens piece of the puzzle. We'll talk a little bit more about the Gwyn thing in a second, kind of why that's happening and all this. But what it means for Ravens, Gwyn's gone. I think the first thing to say before we discuss who they're getting real quick, why are Ravens just all magically free agents and the other teams aren't necessarily? Is that Ravens being the shittest orc in COD? Probably. Is it something else? What do you think, Ronnie? Do you got any intel on that?
Well, that camp seemed to think it's somewhat CDL at fault. I'm not sure why. But with the Ravens' history, you would probably think they're at fault in one way or another.
So, in my head here, they're probably 2-year contracts, right?
Yep.
Which means it was signed before EWC started last year. Which means they were probably expecting champs to be like the last tournament of the year every year. I don't know if you guys remember, but after EWC last year, they announced that was going to be more of a long-term thing that we're going to have usually year over year. So I think what...
Bro, they're brain dead if they didn't think that it was keep on going, though. Like, let's be real. EWC was not going away. Oh,
I think they signed even the year before. EWC was even announced. Yeah, so
sure,
MW3...
Yeah, because they signed Beans, right, for the EWC, but that was only on like a 2-week contract.
Interesting, yeah okay.
Whereas Tej and Gwyn were already on the team.
They would have known this was coming though. Then at least.
There you go. That's where the Ravens part comes in.
Yeah. Even
that's
if
where the
like
confusion started with him, though.
interesting. That is an absolute Ravens classic, to be fair. So
And I would presume the CDL thing is them not letting. I don't know how that would be their fault.
not letting adjust the contracts
But
or something.
yeah,
some shit.
I would presume something like that.
But also, if I'm a player, am I signing that shit?
Well, that's also a thing. If Gwyn's got a C9 offer and their Ravens team is completely chalked mentally, you're going to take the C9 offer, aren't you?
Yeah, you're like, oh,
'Cause
great, my
especially with the
contract ends
chance
one
of-
day after
yeah.
champs, I can walk away.
Especially with the chance of playing with like maybe Kremp long term. Like, that could be a nice little duo going into BO7.
That is an
So
interesting
that's where it
point.
gets tricky, because we actually did a graphic on this at champs. The Ravens scored 190 points over the first 2 stages of the season. They were 10-5 in stage 1, and then 7-5 in stage 2. They placed top 4 during stage 1
Major
and then top
1.
8.
Yep.
But they actually played well during the first 2 stages, and then they went top 12, and then last at champs. They were, let me count this up real quick. They were
1 in 11, I
3
think, with
and
reps.
12 over their last 15 series, including 2-0 at champs or 0-2 at champs. They were abysmal in objective efficiency once they switched their roster and took out Vivid, and so that's where I think if they could have even changed the contracts, the players would have to agree to that most likely, and so that's where I don't even think players would have agreed to that, because they were in such a slump at the second half of the season. They were easily the worst team at champs, like not even close, easily the worst team there. And so that's why I think like Gwyn probably had that as soon as the season was over, he knew he had some options to pick from. The interesting thing for me is Gwyn signing a long-term deal, or is he just signing something that's short-term? Because the smart thing to do
let's
might
do
be
the
to sign
Gwyn thing
something
real quick
short-term.
before we get back to the Ravens. This is the article on Gwyn. But yeah, go on, Austin.
I think the smart thing for Gwyn would be to sign a short-term deal, because then after EWC, your options are going to be way more open. We can talk about this later on too, but there is rumors of some of the top teams breaking up. Literally, pretty much any team could end up doing something. So that's why I think you want to keep your options open long term, because the true Rostermania might actually be after EWC, and that's where you don't want to have a buyout or be locked in.
Yeah.
But with deadline or not trade deadlines, with roster locks, I don't know if he'll be I don't know if there is a 1-month contract. I don't know if that exists, but that's something I would probably, if I was in his camp, that's what I would be targeting.
I mean,
for any team.
Could you imagine if you're Gwyn, right? You sign the contract and then after EWC they sell SIB, and you're locked in on C9 without SIB, their best player.
That would be my major worry.
Yeah, it's just a situation you don't want to get stuck in when your stock's probably still in a decent spot. So just sign a short-term contract if possible, and then reassess.
Kind of like a Bean situation, right? Like go to Ravens for EWC and then hope you get a better offer. And you know, like, I don't know, if you're smart, you know how Cloud9 move. Like you know, you could easily see the SIB getting sold to Falcons coming. It may not happen, it depends, but like it could absolutely happen. So,
and he's good enough to be a building block for any team. I know he
like
got
a Rocker or like teams like that.
So he got some flack. I saw some of the players breaking down some of his plays, and they thought he was being a little bit like too kill whorish on the map. He dropped a 1.17 at champs. He had the highest Slayer rating with a 98 at champs. He had the second most hill time on Ravens. And when you look at the Ravens stats for that tournament, you had Slasher with a 0.8 in hard point, TJ with a 0.77 in hard point, and Rex with a 0.73 in hard point. And then you have Gwyn with a 1.3. So I think it's more of like when you have a true Slayer, it looks good when you're winning, and it looks bad, like really bad when you're losing, and that player is still playing at the consistent level. So that's why I try not to be too hard on him when it looks that bad. But the team was in such a bad spot. He was the only player to go positive on Ravens the entire season with a 1.06. He was the only player to be above a 0.84 at champs. He had a 1.17. Slasher was a 0.84. He went positive in every single mode. No other Ravens player did that, obviously. And he was the only one with a positive respawn KD. So it's hard for me to judge him off that, and that's why I think he is such a strong building block that will be like sought after. He's in that Rancor Joe Deceives group for me, where it's like promising young prospect that like literally will get probably picked up by one of these top teams this offseason if he's available. So that's why it was interesting that he got linked to C9, when obviously C9's been linked to other roster moves throughout the year. But I think for now, for EWC, that is a really good roster, actually. It should be good at
Yeah.
S&D.
If they click, they could have a real fun event.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they could, like, you know, we mentioned, like, what was it? Boston doing well at EWC, or doing decently at EWC. Thieves getting second last year. Like, it's a bit different, but if things click, you never say never, especially single limb. You make that bracket, you know, things get a lot easier.
Yeah. So after that, that's when everything started kicking off, and that's when we kind of get into the Carolina side of things, where we have the multiple roster moves that might be coming out of that camp. And so that's where I think they're in a tough spot too, where you probably don't want to commit anything long term, but also you probably have the first shot of all of the challengers talent if you want to pick up a team. So that's where the GM Ryan Saint will have his hands full, because it's, do you commit to a prospect now and get them before any other team has a chance to, something like Cobra, because I actually still rate Cobra pretty highly, or do you do more short-term contracts to give yourself flexibility once the actual Rostermania picks up? And that's where it kind of links into Slasher's timeline too and what he's thinking. So that's where you were hearing it's more European players though that they're targeting, correct?
Let me just redo the article real quick. So it's expected that Gwyn will sign with Cloud9 New York, as reported earlier today. Sources have also suggested that Rex will be replaced by Cobra, which we talked about. The future of TJ remains uncertain as well, with the rumors suggesting he may also be leaving the team in the near future. The final bit, Slasher is anticipated to be the only player remaining from the roster that achieved the top 8 finish at Champs. Bombed out dead last. As the European Revolution continues to reshape the team, Afro is Raven's preferred choice to replace Gwyn, and if deals can be finalized, Cobra will officially take Rex's position. So that's a pretty big development, right? I mean, it's all bloody going on. We've got Slasher, the only man left. Tej might be out the door as well. Obviously, if Tej goes, we can talk about where he might go. Cobra coming in on the sub. Maybe Afro, which I would be very excited to see how... Because I've been hoping that Afro will get a chance to at least showcase how good he can be in Black Ops 6 at an event, and it's not been possible all year. Knowing Ravens, they'll fuck up his visa and he won't even be able to go. But you know, with any luck, then it could be done. So the idea, bringing Cobra in, bringing Afro in. Obviously, they need a fourth. TJ wouldn't be a bad fourth, but like it may, it may not be the play.
Yeah, I think the problem is at the minute, like with getting like more experienced players, like Easymac said, I feel like a lot of them are either locked up or they're on challenger teams that are already at EWC. And because them teams have been playing for a while, they probably don't want to move to join Ravens. That's their issue. Whereas the likes of Afro and Cobra are not EWC. So what have they got to lose to play?
Yeah, I actually like I like Afro coming in, because that's a good like 1-for-1 for TJ if TJ ends up moving out. I am probably on the higher side of rating Cobra compared to some other people who've kind of fallen off him over the last year. I think if he hits the potential that he has, that he could be a more of a fill-in for Gwyn, and then it's just about finding a flex player to play next to Slasher. If Cobra sticks on the SMG, if he moves to an AR, it kind of gives you a little bit more flexibility on the SMG spot. But that's also why I like him, is because he can play both roles. So you can just go for the best available player for EWC and then build off of that.
Yep. And I mean, if Afro or Cobra fry at this event, you've got 2 pieces already at the team for next season.
Yep.
So it's a really good start. If it goes well, obviously.
Afro back to Ravens.
Now, if it goes badly, you're back at square one. But
well, they're getting sold off anyway, so who cares?
that was what I was going to say. They might not be here, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, that's what. If I'm Afro, I'm just like, all right, let me drop a 1.3 real quick, so the new Saudis
Kill
are
all my
in,
arse off, get a new spot.
Yeah, they keep me on. I don't know. That's what I'd be doing. Okay, if Tej goes, I mean, I saw people discussing Tej in the chat earlier, because what's going on at Falcons, right? We've got Pred and Exon ain't going anywhere for this one. Sib, if they could get him from Cloud9, it's probably not something they can do in time. even if they could. Maybe they could, but like, I don't know what the roster deadline is, whatever. But when you're talking about moves like that, you know how Cloud9 are. It's going to be like, oh, we want this amount of money, and then Falcons will say we can give this amount of money, even if they want him, but they probably are considering it anyway. It's just not something that happens overnight if they were going to do that.
They've not got enough time, realistically, to get that sort of deal done, I don't believe. I mean, they have the money, but it's whether they really think it's worth spending it for one event.
They have the money, he says.
Well, oh, they have the money.
They do have the money.
They have the money. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
C9 love the money.
they do. Do love the money. They would be perfect business partners.
Yeah. But I don't. I think that's one for the off season to keep your eye on. Sib to Falcons. I mean, to be fair, I think everyone thinks that.
Yeah,
But-
everyone's been throwing it around as a rumor.
Yeah, that's probably one that could happen in the off season. But for now, them getting him win on C9 probably keeps him a little bit happier as well to finish the season.
Yeah,
And
that's
he's
probably
pretty.
gone.
He's pretty tight with Spart too. So
And
keeping Spart
Kremp.
on there, and
'Cause they were
Cramp
streaming yesterday.
with a big time SMG on there. That lineup actually gets really.
No, they might actually be pretty
dangerous
good.
in PvC.
I mean, to be fair, they always should have been better than they were the whole season, to be honest. So,
Could you imagine they got Merc? Like they
oh
did?
my god, they nearly did. You know.
How different could have things been?
They very nearly got him.
Thankfully for him, he's got sense.
Yeah, but
And
I mean,
waited.
yeah, I don't really know how things went down behind the scenes. But my
think they
understanding
made him an
is
offer.
that oh yeah, they made him an offer. They made him a 6-figure offer to Cloud9, like a respectable offer. But obviously, the headline number is one thing, but the terms of the deal, like that's where Cloud9 fuck you. You know, like they give you X. So I don't really know how it went down, but I'm pretty sure that
my God.
accuracy was
Have
like.
you just seen the tweet?
What's the tweet?
Beans dropped.
Really? Wow! Right now, live on a little. Is it from Beans or is it from Toronto?
Yep.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Unrestricted free agent. There it is. Wow! It is all going on this evening, ladies and gentlemen. UFA Beans. I mean, this is a very interesting one. I think
Now this makes everything interesting.
it's interesting that it's happening now, right? I will say, Kleenex did a tweet earlier today.
Yeah.
I have
That tweet
a
told me a
fucking
lot.
million tabs right now open, but I'll try and find it real quick. Here it is. Damn good. There wasn't much to tweet about this weekend about that performance. Obviously, the top 6 isn't even
What did
close
he
to good
say?
enough. Apologies to all the fans that came out to support. Lots of stuff to figure out before EWC, and then we will see what happens for next year. So I think that told basically everyone that they're blowing it up. It's just a matter of when.
Could that be
You guys
bait?
hear that
though?
music?
Would Ultra let him go?
That is Beans to Carolina music right there again.
Yeah, we got the
They
Beans
need a
music.
flex, and they need an EU flex.
Beans
So-
Cobra Afro. That's what I'm hearing right now. I'm hearing that music.
I mean, it
Oh,
makes
that's
sense,
Slasher
right?
leading the boys.
Slasher Beans Cobra Afro. That might be a fucking vibe. Yes, to you,
It's not
actually.
bait.
It's not bait. Yeah. I mean,
Apparently.
there's no way he's
I'm
baiting.
surprised Ultra
right?
let him go for free though.
I mean, I don't know. He says
know
unrestricted
what they're
free
like.
agent. So,
Yeah, but we know what they're like.
but does his contract end or like is
But that
he?
could-
Well, no, if it's
He-
unrestricted, it means the contract's gone.
Well,
Restricted is where you need
no,
to buy out.
but
So
like
if he's
I'm saying,
unrestricted-
either they like cancelled his contract, or I guess they just didn't extend him. Maybe they had the option to extend him after champs, and they've elected not to. It's probably the more
So
likely scenario.
the new contracts that are allowed, I'm pretty sure you can have like a buyout or a cutoff, or that his contract just ended today. So one of the two. But that's actually really big news for Toronto because now I don't know who Toronto targets.
Well, no, they need
can
one
get.
as well. Like, what the hell? Because I thought at
Well-
least maybe Toronto would stay the same.
Do FaZe get involved?
Now,
I mean, do we
Well,
want to move to that now? Because
Things get
Because now-
interesting now.
now you get into I'm in the boat right now. I don't think FaZe will do anything until after EWC.
I agree, but
But
you never know.
I also think getting top 6 at back-to-back champs is
right.
one of the
It's
most
not
difficult things for those players to accept, and I think they're going to be very upset about that. So that's why, like, I don't even know if winning EWC will save the roster again, But
Mark says Beans tweet as it's literally on the screen. Anyway, all good. Sorry, Austin. That was just
yeah,
funny.
that's where I don't know if FaZe will be involved in round 1 of Rostermania. Unless do you guys think there's going to be something on that side?
I feel like if there's more time, maybe, but because of the time, probably not. But I do agree, top 6 at champs again might be killing them, like badly.
Yeah, like they are cooked. It is just a matter of time.
They're cooked.
But
Like
yeah.
honestly, even if they win EWC, I'm not sure if they'd stick.
No, I don't think they would at this point. Okay, but this gets really interesting now. So hang on a second. So, all right, Beans is off Toronto. They need a new flex player. TJ might be off the Ravens, so maybe they could get Beans. Okay, what are Falcons doing? Pred, Exnid. Are they keeping our season priest? It seems kind of doubtful, especially with Beans floating around. Like, I don't know if that's really a long-term play, but Beans was underwhelming to me this year, but I still rate his potential. He's just not scrappy. It is what it is.
I think what made him look worse was Merc subbing in and getting top 3.
Yeah, that is true. I think it kind of mentally
They would have probably
compromised
got
things a
top
bit
3
as well.
with him, because I think they look like a really good team going into that event. I actually thought they'd get top 2. But it really didn't help him. It wouldn't have helped the team either. Him being this good on OpTic would not have helped their mentals. Because it would have just been what if.
People are saying minus Ghosty plus Beans. Yeah, I don't know about that.
So I actually thought Beans was a little bit underwhelming to what I thought for how well he played last year. He wasn't great in
Insight and
SMG.
clean X cheese, man. Here we go again.
Yeah, that's where I thought he was a little bit underwhelming. I thought this team was more SMG centric this year, but it is kind of surprising right now before EWC. As you can see, that's the AR duo together, Insight versus Beans. Insight has a little bit more of the intangibles on this team, like the leadership and play calling, but Beans was still, a top 20 player in the league statistically, top 20, top 30-ish, would be on the lower side of it. So it is kind of surprising to see him out right away, unless you have a clear pickup that you have in mind that they're making a move for. So if he's out right now, I would definitely suspect that something's coming down the pipeline like pretty quickly.
Yeah, these are the numbers. Thanks to Easy Mac for these numbers. He does a good job.
Sorry if I blacked out. I'm just... Yeah.
No, you're good. There's a lot going on right now.
Yep.
Insight was pretty ass. Apart from when Mercules is on the team, he was actually godlike, which is confusing because he played a bit quicker. So
Merc might just be God.
Merc might just be God. Yeah, that's fair enough. So I don't know what the hell happens now, because there were rumors that Rocker were looking at Mamba because Vinny Gage tweeted it and then deleted it 2 seconds later. So I don't know if there's anything in that, because presumably Omit are pretty happy with how they're going. Mamba, Craze, Vivid, Mac.
Yeah, I think on that team wants to stick. But I would presume if like an Ultra come in, things would change.
Bloody hell, I
But,
can't
like-
even wrap my head around all the shit. There's a lot going
No,
on.
I'm mind blown.
There's a lot going on. Dan Ghosty with a $2 super chat. I just got dropped. I'm going to Rocker and Kenny to FaZe. Thanks, Dan.
Rest in peace, Dan. Have fun at Rocker.
Yeah, fun at
I'm sure
Rocker.
you'll like your life.
Wait, hang on. We got a Vinny tweet right now. Holy shit, it's all going on. I mean, I've seen some crazy tweets hitting the timeline, to be honest. Vinny Gage. Let's see what he says.
Craze
Here.
makes sense to any team.
Oh,
that needs an
interesting.
SMG.
Interesting. Vinny Gage says Mamba to Toronto now.
See, Mamba makes sense for teams that need an AR, and
He's
been,
not better than Beans.
I mean, that team has been smoking.
Maybe they just-
everyone.
maybe they just
he's on the
think,
main
like-
Omit team, correct?
Their team is choked.
That's the one with Craze and
Yep.
and Vivid and Mac. That team's just smoking everyone.
Dashy
So
tweet.
I like the pick.
What's
Like
going
he's
on?
underrated. I think there's a lot of challengers players that have actually been like really good this year that have been kind of slept on because of the whole scene just doesn't get the exposure. But I think Mamba and Craze were the two of the top for Mamba for ARs, SMGs. It was Craze that were next up. So I just think it's a risk going into EWC. I think it's just a major risk. I would have liked to see Mamba and Craze against the best teams on Omit, and then to see how that goes, because Vivid and Mac have played so good next to him. But
not the what have I done tweet from Dashi. This is actually
Put it
so
back
good. He's cheesing so hard right now, clowning Drazza like
now,
this.
I've just been told Mamba ain't leaving. Now, obviously, that could change, but... pretty
You've
good
been told
source
what?
said
Sorry,
Mamba
say that
isn't
again.
leaving. Mamba
Mamba
isn't
is-
leaving.
I don't trust Vinny Gage anyway, so whatever.
No.
Mobe says,
So,
where do you rank Ant and Bruce among all-time duos? I think we had a bit of this conversation the other day on the show. Like, it's difficult. I think the first question is when you talk about duos, is to determine what counts as a duo. Like, because, you know, was Scump and Karma a duo? Like,
I think it's messy with the OpTic ones.
they're not really a duo, but yet they would obviously play together for a long time. Definitely Shotzi and Dashi feel like a duo, but Shotzi and Hook feel a bit more like a duo. I don't know. I mean, look, they won 2 rings together. They got to be top 3 duos, like bare minimum. But then so have
CDL era is kind of
Shotzi and
easy.
Hook, I guess. Yeah.
You look at like CDL era, like them and Simp at BZ. If you did trios, I don't know, not really a trio with Hook, but
I know what you're
they're probably
saying.
they're probably
like-
up there.
I feel like
They're either
Dashi
one or
should see-
two for CDL era.
They kind of have to be a duo now, just purely based on the fact they've played together for what? Is it 3 full seasons? Well, not full, but 3 seasons?
Did it start in Vanguard?
Yeah,
I think it started in Vanguard, right?
4.
1, 2, 3, 4, yeah.
4
years.
seasons. What's that? 2 major wins and 2 rings.
That's almost the
3 major
equivalent
ring-
of
yeah.
Zuma in Attach.
Exactly, and they got 2 rings. So, I feel like calling them a duo is pretty fair.
I think you're right.
And at
Okay.
this point, I don't think they would leave each other. I think
Oh
it's got
boy,
to
what
that
did
kind of
Rafi
point.
tweet now?
Rafi tweet. Oh, God.
Oh my god,
What we got here?
all happening.
He
I
says...
feel we picked the
Oh.
right time.
That's a pretty good tweet, actually. I'd love to bring it up on the stream.
He's like the
Um,
official Academy GM of the CDL.
Right,
Yeah.
like, people do not want to see my tabs right now. They probably do, actually. Let me see if I can just get a 0.
I
actually not as
can't
many
believe
as there has
Ultra
been
have made a
sometimes.
change now.
There's been more. But, like, this is the amount of tabs I'm rocking with. And it's not even going to be close to how many we need for tomorrow. We'll see. This is why my RAM is cooked, by the way, chat. Okay, so Sabine's is gone. So let's just
Yeah.
recap the last few minutes here. So Beans
Oh
is...
my god, Rab.
What's good? You hearing something?
Your tabs.
Oh, tabs. Yeah. I mean, this is light work, to be honest. So Beans is out of there. Falcons, we don't know what's going on there, but surely Falcons are going to get involved in this somehow. TJ might be completely free as well. So, TJ seemingly is free. So he's an option for any of these teams. Rocker, I don't know if they were considering Mamba. Maybe they weren't. I don't know what's happening there. But like, if they were considering it, then maybe they still have an opportunity to do something. And that's the teams that are going to make changes right now. Obviously, there might be teams making changes in the near future. I mean, I've seen this tweet going around. There's a lot of people talking about stuff in the Zoo Mafia right now, with maybe no intel at all, maybe some intel. This guy says Sib to Falcons, Simps talking to Shotzi, Abizi and Joe Deceives are going to join the same team at Gwyn to Cloud9. I've seen this in a couple of places. People are talking about this. I think people obviously want to talk about it, don't they? What happens if Simp calls up Shotzi and says, hey, what do you think? Charlie just dropped the $2 super chat. Appreciate you. You guys think FaZe are making changes? Who do they get? I think they will, but they will after the World Cup. I just don't see any... I think this conversation, we honestly have to park it because I think it depends what happens at the World Cup. Maybe not massively, but it does depend.
I will say, like, these guys all want to win, and like they're big legacy guys, and I think like top 6 at back-to-back champs is just it's
a
like
legacy
straight to
killer.
the soul, man.
Yeah.
It's straight to the soul, and like you could say last year like top 6, then you win EWC. Like, look, we had a bad weekend, we fucked up. Because I'm in the camp where I don't think one good weekend rights an entire season of wrongs. So that's where it comes into more of like the OpTic side of things. Is like, do you make a move? Do you not make a move because you had one good weekend out of the entire year? So that's where they're kind of in right now. But I do think like, I think there will be something that changes within FaZe. I don't know what that's going to be, but in that one right there, Simp, I would be more. I think Simp and Shotzi would do well, but I also don't know. I don't think they would. I don't think they would place Hook, man. I really don't. I don't think they would do it to him.
Ooh.
Just real quick,
don't
I have a
know.
question. Is this a real tweet, chat? Because Simp's not, like, it doesn't exist anymore. I looked on Simp's page. He was talking about World Cup OpTic fans or something. I don't know. Then apparently it's been deleted. I just want to make sure this is a real tweet before I talk about it in tomorrow's video. So, okay. Because there's no timestamp on it, which usually I look for. So, I mean, I'm assuming it was real. But
Wait,
I just wanted to check.
It was,
last year.
Yeah, there was a lot of like Zoom Mafia and the
okay.
Green Wall
Yeah.
hat. Basically, it was after they won, like 2 weeks after they won. There was like the Zoom Mafia and Green Wall Twitter groups were just going nuts, and like he tweeted that after like getting like spammed for 2 weeks because everyone was just like, "Oh, FaZe's win means just as much as Champs was. It doesn't," and then everyone else was just like, "OpTic didn't even care about EWC," which I can tell you right now they did. So like everyone was just overreacting.
Yeah,
both sides
I
of it.
remember. Yeah, I remember that. Shit makes sense. I do remember
Yeah,
now.
that's why. I'm almost positive, at least something like that.
No, that is right. That is 100%
Yeah,
a real
100%.
tweet. Yeah, I remember it now. I just thought that when the guy put it on Reddit, I thought he was talking about recently. All good. Octane says.
I think that's to do with Maven.
Yeah. I think so. I haven't
Reddit.
talked about that the Maven drama yet. I'm gonna do it tomorrow because that was juicy too. So much happening right now. Bloody hell. Okay, got a new tweet. Octane says, "Oh, we're tweaking." And Nasty also did a tweet, and he said, "Rostermania is always entertaining. We've got, I mean, look, Surge obviously aren't going to get involved yet. Maybe they'll have to at some point. Maybe they'll be forced to." As
I hope they don't, man. I want Nasty to have one
I hope
off
they
season where he doesn't need
don't,
to have a
but
fucking heart
like
attack,
the
dude.
issue is, it depends on which organizations want to get really interested. Because it, like, respectfully, if I want to get a Boozer or Nasty or someone or even Neptune, like, I'll go out and have the convo, and I know what Surge are like. I don't think they'll. I don't know. I would like them not to change, I think, but I think there's a good chance that they did. They will.
I have a question for you guys. Theoretically, Draza is no longer on FaZe, right? What would you think of Minnesota Rocker, Draza, and Kenny duo, or like on a different team? Like, what would you think of them reuniting together? I saw that in the chat. I saw somebody bring that up.
I could see it, but they need an org that can like afford it properly. So like it would have to be like a new org maybe, or you hope Kenny and Pred can fix their issues, and then you do that on Falcons. Draza, Kenny, Pred, Abizi. There you go. That's your roster on the Vegas Falcons for next year.
I did see this
don't really like
tweet. I've got a couple of people talking about what Daryl had to say. I don't know if this actually is the clip, but I did see a clip.
Is it about 6 changes?
It's about... Okay, I'm just going to play this clip. I'm going to see what Daryl says, because I've not watched this one yet.
Rumors have it.
Oh, hang on a second. I need to change the audio source so you guys can hear it. Let's try this again.
Rumors have it
There we go.
that
Yeah,
potentially
Have you seen? You don't even need the clip. It's on. Well,
I mean, I'm playing it right now. You're all good.
yeah.
potentially 6 teams are making a
I don't think that's
change.
the one.
6.
Okay, it says 6. I don't,
You heard it.
This might,
6.
It might be a more recent one than this then. Because on the Reddit, they say that Daryl just said on stream that every team is making a change apart from OpTic, Thieves, and Boston for the World Cup. Here you go. Here you go, stream.
Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
Daryl just said every team is making... I mean, could you imagine that? I mean,
I will say-
like, how many houses am I going to have after this?
If you
We're
see
getting
any more
rich.
Toronto changes, like if you see like Joe get put out or something, that's when I would think that
Yeah, if
teams are making
Joe's,
changes.
yeah,
But
if
how-
Joe ends up like
How
leaving,
do
he ends up-
FaZe make a change without OpTic or Thieves making a change?
that's where I could
I
see
guess-
Sim playing AR for
Stage.
a tournament, and then
And then
having
leave.
like Joe come in or like another SMG come in.
See, maybe that's the
on an
play.
AR.
I mean, it's so
That's how I
interesting
can see that.
because there's been a couple people now saying that this like a BZ Joe Deceives thing is a potential duo somewhere. Maybe it's a duo on phase and they drop fucking. I don't even know they would drop, to be honest. Drop one of the ARs and put Simp to an AR. Damn, that would be. To be fair, if you're phase and you know you're going to blow it up after the World Cup anyway, you might as well try something different for the World Cup. Just to
He also,
teach yourself.
someone's saying in the chat that he said he didn't say before EWC. He just said.
Okay.
He just said
That
teams
would make
a
more
change,
sense.
That
which
does
I
make a
agree
bit
with that
more
too.
sense. I have a
agree
hard
as well.
time believing that they would make changes before. They may, but I think we'd have seen it, right? And also the fact that the Seattle guys are tweeting what they're tweeting makes me feel like, the Surge guys, it makes me feel like they're not involved.
Oh wait, yeah, that included Surge.
Yeah, which is like, it's
Yeah.
tough to believe that Surge are making a
There's
change
not
right
enough
now.
time.
Like, Nasty just says Rostermania is always entertaining. Like, I don't know if I believe that. I'm just going to screenshot this real quick so I can talk about it tomorrow. There we go. It's beautiful.
Yeah, 'cause someone did just bring it up. Like, I do think Drobs was underwhelming at champs. I do think he was underwhelming the year before at champs, but I think the whole team was underwhelming. I didn't think Simp played well. I thought Abizi was their best
It was
player.
like his worst event ever, so.
Yeah, I didn't think any of them were crazy playing good, but like,
They
there's
are
so many,
saying
like,
Trakes
top
to
prospects.
Miami. What are we talking about?
Well, he's in SMG, so that would be Real
To
getting picked up
Miami?
by somebody,
Maybe it would work.
Hang on.
or Metals getting.
Who wanted Real?
Real dropped to
Not very
treat,
long ago.
baby. Oh, it's Toronto. Oh, that is true. Toronto did want Real not that long ago.
Yeah, they did.
But then the two orgs wouldn't sell to each other. That was the
Yeah, 'cause
the
it was
going rumor at the
beef.
time.
Imagine Real gets poached. The thing is, Heretics, like, they're up for grabs. Heretics really can't afford to lose Real, though. Because, like,
Yeah.
he's someone who speaks Spanish. It's not many to
So-
come by.
Yeah, that's not, and that's why I thought Snoopy might be like an
Yeah.
option
I
for them too in the future.
Snoopy for Metals.
Taj mentioned Purge the other day, because Purge can speak a bit of Spanish,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, he filled in for him.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
when
at some
we-
point, that could be viable. Maybe not immediately, but...
Because in my mind, I just want to
apologies,
answer
chat.
Khalid.
Cameras are back.
Yeah, thank you for the super chat. First off, I think Spart will be there for this event. I don't know about long term, but
Another
tying
Vinny
in
tweet.
what we're talking about right now, tying that in with the second one from Ed Robinson. I do think Purge and Snoopy would fit well on Miami if they had to do that, and that's when Boston would be able to pick up Craze or a Mamba for one of their ARs. Because I actually like some of the prospects there for that. Going to Miami and having the Spanish-speaking team or English. But I think Real and Rancor might honestly be poached pretty soon. I think Rancor is one of the he's an elite AR this year. I think a lot of teams like him. His English isn't bad. We've seen. I'm not a firm believer that you got to have good comms to be able to make that switch. It took Hydra a little bit to get used to that. But I think if Rancor's English is really good, he could legitimately get picked up by a top team this offseason. That's how good his year was.
FaZe Rancor.
That's why I think that's why I think Miami's going to be kind of fighting to keep this team together and maybe bring in another player. So it's going to be tough for them.
Yeah, we
think
looked
that's
at the tweet already, the Vinny Gage tweet where he says Mamba to Toronto, but I don't believe anything he tweets. So until proven otherwise, we'll see. Because yesterday he said that Mamba was going to Rocker, and that apparently that's now not happening according to himself. So I don't really believe any of that. We'll see what happens there, but it's all going on at the moment. It's all going on. But there was also another super chat I missed. Thank you, everyone. Khalid said, do you think Sparta's sticking with Cloud9? To our understanding, yeah, absolutely, that is the case. What's good, Austin? Welcome back. Oh, I see. Yeah, his camera's cooked. Oh, no, his camera's still cooked. My bad. It's actually on my end.
No.
It's actually on my end. No, it's me. I didn't recognize it. 1 second, I'll fix it. What was I yapping about? Spart on the Cloud9 team. So, yeah, Cloud9 seemingly rumor has it, if your team is under contract, you can only make one change. Therefore, Cloud9's team is still under contract after champs. Therefore, they can make one change. Therefore, they've dropped cap still for Gwyn. The rest of the guys are staying the same. Team like Ravens, their whole team is UFAs because Ravens, I don't know. So Slash is going to stay, but everyone else is gone. And TJ's probably also gone, but we have no idea who their fourth is going to be. We're thinking it's going to be Slasher, Afro, Cobra, and some fourth. Could be anyone. Could be Beans after this rumor. Could still be Tej, but maybe not. That's Ed says Boston to pick up Craze and Mumba. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that would be an interesting move too, for sure. Thanks to all the super chats, guys. PD, welcome as well. Just got home from work. What's happened? It's actually difficult to give you a breakdown of what's happened in like 30 seconds. It's basically all going on.
A lot of teams are blowing up.
It's all, and I can't even tell you right now what is going to happen for sure because everything's going on. Danny says, do you think LAT make changes if they do bad at EWC? If so, for who? I think it's absolutely possible. They're not going to make changes before then, but it's possible just depending, right? Like, look, let's say Simp is available. Then it changes the game because teams are going to have to, do something about that. Like, you know how it goes.
I know everyone's down on him right now. Like, understandably, he just probably had his worst tournament he's ever had. But the problem with him, if they make a move, if he is a free agent this offseason, and he moves off of a phase, he will be at some point in his career one of the best ARs in the game when he makes that switch. I'm like a firm believer in that.
Yeah, he's got the Scump career arc, if Scump actually did it.
Yeah, so that's where it's like, if he does move off a phase, there's actually no position that's probably safe from that. Because there could be a world where like LA Thieves is like, oh, come be our flex here. I think Dan is really underrated on the objective work that he does that allows Scrap and Hydra to be like ultra slayers. I think that would be missed, but if there was a player that they said like we're gonna make a move for, like that kind of does make sense, where Simp could come in and still be that objective player if they think there's a little bit higher potential there for the team. But I do think a lot of people are instantly thinking like, oh, Dan needs to be dropped. I think that's like way overblown and he gets underrated in that aspect. I think they would have to be like top 12, top 16. I think they would have to like extreme bomb out of EWC to start making like snap reactions like that. If I'm OpTic, that's where it's also kind of tough. I'm in the camp where I don't think they'll blow it up, but there is a different rationale where you think we had a terrible year. Does one weekend fix that terrible year? Do we get a generational talent if that talent is a free agent right now? That's conversations they got to have. I will say, like, they didn't make a move for Hydra or Scrap last year. So that kind of...
But there's two ways to look at that, right? Either you say, oh, we didn't make a move for them and we won champs, we don't need to. Or they say, damn, we really let Hydra and Scrap go. We should have made a change. Obviously, last year, even with the hindsight of knowing they've now won champs, they got bailed that heavy because Mercules is just Jesus. So... But in hindsight, like the correct decision obviously would have been to try and get Hydra and or Scrap when the opportunity was there.
Yeah.
Like that was, in hindsight, the best decision they could have made at the time they didn't do it. So, I don't know. I think the answer, PD, is like, you do look at Simp. Like, you have to look at Simp. But...
I think if they don't win at EWC...
Yeah, if they win the World Cup, they won't change.
Simp, yeah. There's no need to. That's silly.
Yeah.
But... if they don't, and Simp is down, I'm sorry, but you have to make the move.
Because also you have to stop anyone else getting him. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Imagine Simp went from Voy to Thieves.
Yeah, exactly.
Simp, Hydra, Ghosty, and Scrap. Like, come on.
Any combination of those five, like that's a really dangerous.
You can't allow that. Exactly.
But at the same time, I just know that a lot of the fans are going to be looking at it like OpTic's probably not going to be taking EWC as seriously. And then if they don't play well there, the only other topic that I have for you guys off of that, since we're talking about it, is if Atlanta or LA Thieves wins EWC and OpTic doesn't, do you guys think that 2 majors plus EWC is greater than just winning champs? for a season, just like whoever had the better year?
It's actually quite a good question. I think I would have
This
to
goes into the
argue.
Maven drama.
I think
I
I
think
would
for
have
Simp
to
it
argue.
probably-
Yeah.
But I think for Simp it might not be after last year.
For him, it won't be, but for like the
Yeah.
fans, the fans of like the CDL, do you value 2 majors and an EWC win or champs? Just champs.
I think
problem
OpTic
is-
They didn't
season
really
is
do
so
anything else.
confusing because it was basically
Exactly,
just
yeah.
last win champs.
And win.
So like I have a very hard time saying that they were that they had the best year, you know what I mean? Like were they the best team this year? Like no, let's be real. But they've
But do they care now?
Yeah, exactly. Do they care? Does it matter? Should the
Shotzi
OpTic
said on
fans care?
stream,
No.
I do not give a shit about going 0-18 now.
Yeah, of course. Totally
Because
fair
it doesn't
enough.
matter. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
yes, you
and
wanna
it doesn't
win
really matter
majors,
to the
but-
fans. I mean, it matters to the
You wanna
fans,
win
but
ma-
like it's not really relevant, you know.
It only matters to the fans at the time. Nobody cares now.
Because I have no dog in this fight. I don't really. I think it's more enjoyable because I don't know how to rank EWC in my head still because I hate the bracket format. But I also think like prize pool does make you try harder, and anybody that's saying it doesn't is not. They're not.
No,
thinking
it's
about it.
definitely relevant.
But I think EWC is like slightly above a major in my mind. But
Yeah,
because
it's like okay, then you're taking 3 majors or a ring. All right, okay.
Yeah.
Like what's okay? This is a question for the chat here. This is not a question of what is the better season. I guess it's a question of like, yeah, maybe it's a question of what's the better season. I come top 12, top 12, top 12, top 12, win champs, top 16 at EWC. That's my season, right? So obviously that's a very extreme example. Or win major 1, major 2, major 3, major 4, top 6 at champs, win EWC. What's the better season? Is it better to have champs and literally nothing else? Now, what season would I be happier with as a player? Season A, I guess, in hindsight, because I've won champs, shit the bed every other tourney, but I go down as the ring winner. If I'm team B, I'm fuming on some level because I've won all the other tournaments and not won champs. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about who's going to be happier with it. I'm saying what's the better season? Like how much
Like if we
does
look back
champs
at
matter?
it 2 years from now, like that's what I'm trying
Does
to
champs
think of.
matter that much that 4 majors and EWCs are relevant? Because there's a line has to be drawn somewhere. Like if 4 majors and EWC are better than champs, then okay. Then we can have a conversation about whether 2 majors and EWC is better than champs. I don't know. It's an interesting topic. Because I know that some people will say the ring no matter what. Okay, let's say we had 10 majors a season. 10 majors a year. You win all of them, you don't win champ. You know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be a line at some point, you would think.
I think people are misunderstanding part of the question too. Legacy-wise, I understand that champs is like end-all be-all for a lot of fans, like legacy. I'm not talking legacy-wise. I'm talking about like we look back at this, like we look at the World War II season. I don't care what anyone says. No one thought EG was the best team that year. That just isn't the case. That will never be the case. People can revision history that, but 2 years ago, if you ask them, they would tell you, you know, TK or what was the other good team that year? There was 2 other teams that would always be ahead. So that's why I'm saying I'm not talking legacy-wise. I'm talking about when we look at this 2 years down the road. Honestly, if FaZe or Thieves wins EWC, I don't know if we'll look back and think that OpTic was the best team this entire season. I think legacy-wise, rings mean more than those 3 tournaments combined. That's why I'm on the.
I think I agree with
people
your
are
take.
looking
Like
at it differently.
I can't argue that OpTic were the best team this year. Did they have the best season? Like maybe, yeah. But like, were they the best team?
Yeah, the best
Fundamentally, no. You know what I mean? It doesn't. At the end of the day,
legacy-wise,
who
they had
cares?
the best
it don't
year,
really matter.
but, like,
yeah,
End of the
exactly.
day,
Yeah.
OpTic will be remembered
Yeah.
but the other teams probably won't be. But they didn't have the best year.
Thieves were the
That's what I
best
think-
team of this season,
Best
but
team,
OpTic
sorry, yeah.
had the best season because they
I
won
think that's
champs.
why that the Maven discussion got kind of skewed, is because it's not like he's trying to take away from champs, at least from my opinion. Like champs is a player legacy thing that is extremely impactful, but at the same time, like when we look back at who the best team was and most successful like team over the entire course of the season, I think it's a little bit different than just like who won champs. I don't think whoever wins champs is automatically the best team of the year, but I think like that matters a lot, like legacy wise, which is just a really hard conversation to have, and everyone looks at it differently.
Yeah, PD
But I
makes
also
a
think
good
it-
point, right? Like he's saying in Advanced Warfare, no one looks back in Advanced Warfare and says Denial were the best team.
Exactly.
But on some level they had, like, OpTic were not happy with OpTic were the best team, but
And
they
Optic
weren't
took like a
happy
legacy hit
because
that year.
yeah,
Because like that was the big year where they thought like you should have won champs, and they took like a huge legacy hit. And if they didn't win IW champs, then like
it would have been cooked.
that would have been a huge thing. But they were still the best team that year. I think that's where the conversation gets like crazy, is because like it's just hard to have that conversation when optics on any side of that, because then it gets really extreme.
All right, there's a lot of shit going on. Let's get back to reality. Ben J's done a tweet. He says, I would say that 5 or 6 teams are likely making changes for the EWC. There could be 3 to 5 more. So, we're talking 11 teams making changes for World
I
Cup?
think that means more
No,
changes. No?
I think so. But they could also stick and wait until after the event. That's what he says. So, I mean, it's all
That's the
going on
problem.
right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait,
Phase
That's
three.
where-
trolling chat?
Phase are
That's where it
obviously
would
trolling.
be. Yeah, they put out a GIF.
It's clear troll.
That's where I wish we had a little bit more clarity from the outside looking in on like the contract situation, because in the
Right.
past, like contracts for multi-year deals, or at least like a year deal, there was like no buyouts or anything, and then it kind of changed. And I actually don't know where we're at right now with like contracts and how they work. I've like heard certain things, but I honestly don't know what's true and what's not. But I think teams are not going to want to do like these lockdown deals right now. Like I really don't think so. I don't think a team's gonna be like, oh, we want to commit to somebody for the next year until after EWC happens. Because let's say FaZe does blow up. Let's say every single one of those players is an FA. You're gonna be pissed if you just like locked in the
Lock
entire
in now.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I don't like. There's a world where LA Thieves make a change, and I don't care who you are. Like you're going to try to get, let's say, Ghosty or Envoy. If one of those players gets dropped, you're going to try to do that. Both of those players would be excellent on literally 10 out of the other 12 teams if they get dropped. So that's why.
It's like the Falcons situation, right? With like Sib. Like, yeah, you can spend money on a buyout now for EWC, but then you're locked in with him. What if all of FaZe are free agents? Now, granted, money might not matter to them, but it still becomes a point where it's like, do we need to risk this money now when we could have it all saved up to get FaZe players in the off-season?
Yeah, and so that's why I think like the lower teams are going to make changes now. And this doesn't. I'm not trying to make it sound bad, but like some of the lower teams should make changes, because then you can go and get prospects and take a risk on them at EWC. And as you're showing, like the roster lock is supposedly July 3rd, so we're gonna have 2 more days of this of just chaos.
I'm down.
And so that's where I think like some of the lower teams should take risks, and some of the top teams probably won't. I don't think you'll see FaZe or Thieves or OpTic or even Vancouver make changes. I'm pretty shocked that Toronto did on like going into this. It's kind of mind-boggling, but unless they have a prospect lined up that they want instantly. But I think the rest of the 8 teams will look at somebody and say like, let's sign them. If there is a month-long contract, if there is like a 3-month contract, teams will do that.
Yep.
Bloody
It's
hell.
gonna be a busy 3 days.
It's going to be a busy 3 days. Okay. Should we just do a little recap before we close out the stream? Because unless anything else crazy happens in the next 5 minutes, that's probably where we're going to leave it for today. So, if you guys are just tuning in now, this is what's happened. Damn, I started the stream with like 15 tabs. It ain't looking good. So, OpTic won champs a couple of days ago. Linz confirmed he's off Gentlemate officially. Presumably he's going to be staying with Team War for the event at EWC that they qualified with, although that is now totally up in the air because rumour has it maybe the challenger teams are going to make changes. There was a rumour that the teams could only make 1 change before the EWC. That seems to be the case only if the players are still under contract on the pro team. That seems to be true for Toronto, for Cloud9, but not true for the Ravens. Ravens are blowing it up. Capsule has gone from Cloud9, the only move that they seem to be making. It seems to be a complete 1-for-1 swap. Capsule gone from Cloud9. Gwyn is into Cloud9 the other way around. Gwyn is allowed to walk from Ravens because his contract is up, as are the rest of the guys as well. They're looking at what Rodney calls an EU revolution. We're talking Cobra in, Afro potentially in, and then we actually right now don't know who the fourth is going to be.
Thinking Beans,
It
baby.
could be
I mean, it
Benjamin
makes
Beans.
sense now.
Yeah, after what's happened right now with Beans, because during the show it was confirmed that Beans is now an unrestricted free agent. So maybe Beans back to the Ravens with Slasher, Afro, and Cobra. That's a possibility. What do Toronto do, therefore? Who knows? Potentially they could look at a Mamba. That's what Vinny Gage is tweeting, but that's maybe somewhat doubtful. Real did a tweet, and we theorized because they wanted Real at some point in the past. That might be an option there. We've got Nasty replying to Ghosty, and it's all going on the timeline basically
Bait
this
is going
evening.
out.
Bait is going out, you know how it is. Benjay comes out and says that 5 to 6 teams are likely making changes for the World Cup, so that includes even more teams, of course, and we've just mentioned here. And as a result of that, probably some of the challenger teams are going to be making changes as well. FaZe have just done a tweet because there's theories as to what they might be up to. And Dashi tweeted out, "What have I done?" And some people are saying that this "What have I done?" because obviously this is a reference to the Draza.
Yeah.
This is a clear Draza reference because this is what Draza loves to tweet when he beats OpTic and they went 0-18. Let me just go from Draza. What have I
found
done?
so much.
Here we go. So I love this shit, man. I honestly, like, I
Did
live,
you, and he had
I
a
live for
reply to
this shit.
Octane where he said
I live for this shit.
he just let them have their fun
Yeah. So like.
for the year.
Exactly. So this is the Okay, so Draza's tweeted, "What have I done?" 6 times. His first time was March 2024. He did it again in September. He did it again in January. Did it again in February. Twice in February. And then he did one again in March. "What have I done?" So he loves this tweet. This is like his trademark shit. And then, and then Dashi decides to tweet it out now, which is just, mwah, this is just chef's kiss. Because either Dashi is saying, look, we just won champs and we're causing all this chaos. Or people are saying maybe it's he thinks Draza's getting dropped and therefore he's taking the piss. I think that's a bit of a step too far, maybe, as a read here.
So, how many teams do we have so far? Carolina's making change.
Toronto.
LAG
Falcons.
is making a change. Toronto making a change. That's 3, right?
What
You
are
can
LAG
assume Vegas-
actually doing? Do we know? Like, we just know they're
I
blowing
think
it
they're
up.
sticking.
Okay, but they're changing
For now.
coaching and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
But
that
then
counts
Beans
as-
is on the market now, so who knows?
They'll probably do
That's
something.
4
won't they?
teams, 3 teams if you want to count it
And
like that. So
Falcons.
there's still a couple more. Yeah, Falcons would be part of the 3. So Toronto,
Yep.
Toronto Falcons, Carolina would be the ones that are changing, and then Ben said 5 to 6. So you got to think another 3 are out there.
Presumably Boston aren't doing anything.
Oh, which
Yeah, that's
is-
it. Everyone
Presumably
thinks Boston's
Surge
just
aren't
always
doing
gonna be-
anything.
I mean, if Boston are going to change after getting top 3 when they've not changed all year, it'd be quite interesting decision.
It'd
that would
probably
leave
be
you-
the right decision, but they're probably not going to do it.
That would leave you with Miami, Minnesota.
Oh yeah, Cloud9,
New-
of
New York.
course.
Yep. Yeah.
Miami.
Miami, Minnesota, like Vancouver. If Boston isn't gonna, and if LAG,
I mean, I
It
feel
gets
like
us
the
to
only
5
way
or
you
6.
see Miami or Surge changing is if Ultra get one of their players, right?
or if Miami
Drop
decides
medals.
to, yeah, with medals.
But who
even then,
for?
I don't know if that's the best move that they should do.
No, you just got top 4 at champs, right? Or top 6? What was it?
No, I thought they were
top
four.
Top 4
yeah,
Heretics.
top 4. I just don't see it.
And they've had a good year. Like they've actually had a good year.
Like 3 top 4s, I think.
Yeah, they're
So, like-
top 3, top 4, top 4.
They're basically a top 4 team. Like, I don't feel like making a change 3 weeks before the last tournament is smart.
And if anything for that team, what I would love to see them do is do the same thing they did with Super this year. Like sign a
Yeah,
substitute that you know has high potential, and then if you need to make a change, go there, or just be willing to make a change mid-season if you need it. I don't know if like going into EWC that you need to do that now.
Yep.
Unless if you can get Snoopy and Snoopy wants to come and vanish, but I don't know. I don't think Boston's making a move. So I guess we have 2 more days of just crazy uncertainty.
Hell yeah.
It's gonna get crazy.
Okay, that's where we're going to leave it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that little hour yapathon because a lot happened even live on the stream. And who knows, if there's also shit going down tomorrow night, we might be back. So thanks for watching. Thanks, Ronnie, for joining us. It's about midnight here where me and Ronnie are, so I'm about to head to bed, get up nice and early tomorrow and try and break this all down in a 15-minute video, which is probably going to be quite a challenge. People are saying Vinny tweet. Okay, I'm going to check. I'm just going to check one more time to see if there's a Vinny tweet. And even if there is, I'm not going to believe it. I don't care what he's tweeted. I don't believe it.
I'll tell you,
Okay.
expected teams that have won an event this year to make a change going into EWC.
Well, okay. I mean, there's only...
Which means phase.
No, it means omit. It means vivid Mac crazy. It does mean phase. It can only mean phase.
Probably.
Okay, I'm going to leave you guys with that. We will be back in due course. Maybe another emergency dope check, maybe a proper dope check. But subscribe to the channel if you're new. We appreciate all of you guys. I mean, how many we've got in here right now? I had like well over 2,000 viewers for most of the show. So appreciate everyone. Appreciate all the super chats. Thanks, Prize Pick, supporting the content as always. And we will see you in a little while. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.